Just because, so here's the thing, right? For transparency's sake, I don't have any clients at the moment. As of today, as you can see, if you refresh my Stripe account, in 2020, I had generated just under £110,000 in revenue with my agency, which is the equivalent of about $150,000 US. Of that, I was able to net £65,000 after all expenses pre-tax, which is about $90,000, I believe. I just wanted to hop on and share my journey because I understand just how scary and uncertain the future might seem, especially for you guys that are just starting out, whether it be just the agency world or in business in general. Literally 8 to 9 months ago, I was in the same position as you, so believe me, I know exactly what you're going through. The first clip you saw at the very beginning of this video was a clip taken from the first YouTube video I had ever done in the entrepreneurship space, where I was teaching people how to scale their agency to having a first 10K month. But to be quite frank with you, I had zero clue as to what I was doing, and I was just learning as I went along. Today I've built a team, and together we've generated over $2 million in 2020 for clients across many different niches. But before I jump into the crux of my journey, I wanted to highlight something that's very prevalent in the entrepreneurship space, and that's survivorship bias. You know, history is written by the victors, so you rarely hear the stories of those that have tried and failed. I'm fully aware of the churn rate in my industry, and because my results have been quote unquote exceptional, I understand that in my mind I might downplay the risks and downplay the chances of failure. But I remain a firm believer in that success leaves clues, so hopefully my story will be valuable to you guys. The story begins on the 6th of December 2019. I was studying computer science with artificial intelligence at the University of Nottingham, and to be honest, it was something that I was good at, but I had just no real passion for it. And I went to university not because I really wanted to study this subject, but because the subject had good career prospects, and also university was just something that, you know, everyone around me did, and it was something that I felt was a natural progression from high school or sixth form. However, at the beginning of my second year, I had realized that I really hated life, and I just couldn't bear the thought of me working a 9 to 5 until retirement, going after that elusive six-figure income. I wanted more from life, and I realized that university and a degree isn't gonna put me on the right path towards that. So without telling my parents, I had made the biggest decision of my life up until that point at least. I dropped out of university. Submitting that form was probably the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever had to do, and it's because I've always been a pretty self-aware person, and I was fully aware of the consequences that came with dropping out. It meant that I would plunge myself into £25,000 worth of student debt. It also meant that I would be closing a lot of doors for me from a career standpoint. I wouldn't be able to as easily enter the corporate world in terms of these big tech firms or whatever. And lastly, I was plunging myself into uncertainty because the path I had chosen at the time isn't something that anyone in my family or anyone that I've known to be close to me have walked down: entrepreneurship. But I knew that if I just gave this my all and committed a few years of my life to it, I would have something to show for it. It might not be a lot of money or a hugely successful business or career, but I would be better off than if I had just continued down this university path. And armed with a delusional level of self-belief and optimism, I hit send on that dropout form. At first, I was so overwhelmed by my decision to drop out that I had started having seeds of doubt planted in my mind. I knew that if I had found success, everyone around me would praise me for the excellent risk that I decided to take and the good decision I made of dropping out. However, if I had failed, or quote unquote failed, in the sense that I didn't sign a client for more than 6 months and I decided that agencies world wasn't right for me and I pivoted into something else, then everyone around me would be thinking how big of an idiot I was giving up a degree that had amazing career prospects from a really reputable university. So I decided it was too much, and over the space of Christmas, I had taken 2 to 3 weeks off just to read some books and gain some clarity on where I wanted to take things going into 2020. January 10th was the day that I officially started my agency. I would have started on January 9th, however, I was moving to Nottingham into my flat share that day. Dialing in my service delivery and sales systems was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life so far. Reason being, unlike the case studies that I had read in school or the practicals that I did during my time at university, there was always something on the line. Getting something wrong always came with consequences, and this forced me to be meticulous about every single aspect of my business, and in turn I was unable to focus on anything else, nor did I want to. So with everything that went on last year, I kind of just blocked it all out and treated everything around me as noise. This allowed me to have really great focus and work the entire year basically undistracted, because I knew diverting my attention even for a split second will have catastrophic effects on my rate of progression. Within 6 months, I had scaled to my first 5-figure month, and within a few more months, I was able to scale to my first multiple 5-figure months. Things were going great, to be honest, and I even managed to go on holiday twice during the year, until everything came crashing down. The systems I had built started to break, and in the space of a week, I had lost 2 clients, which was the equivalent of about $10,000 in monthly recurring revenue for the agency. And to top it all off, my main media buyer decided to hand me a week's notice to leave the agency. This all happened during the first week of November, aka the biggest time in e-commerce. Although Black Friday was a booming success for the clients that we had kept, November was no doubt the most stressful time I had to go through with my business, and I was questioning so many things, like, am I giving my clients the best experience that I can possibly give them? Did I do my best to create a good work environment for my team to grow, and if I did, why did they leave? Where could I have done more to prevent this from happening, and why did this happen? I was so stressed and overwhelmed that I decided to take all of December off again to gain some clarity and plan for the future to see where I wanted to take things moving into 2021. I knew that if I wanted to grow, I had to push myself out of my comfort zone, which meant moving out. Staying at home with my parents is just too comfortable. I had a great relationship with them, and the food, the company, it just led to me not being productive whatsoever. I had no motivation to work. So December, I closed on an apartment in central London that I really loved. And during December, I also had my biggest breakthrough, which was that I realized that where we got our clients the biggest ROI, it was in email marketing. As a service, emails is just something that I really just naturally understood. So the decision I made was to start and scale email marketing as a front-end offer, and it's a summary of how I plan to scale in 2021. Now, if you recall, the 9th of January was the day that I first moved back to Nottingham, and I started my January on the 10th of Jan. Seems fitting to scale and start my new agency on the same day. It's crazy how history repeats itself. I remember on November 9th, 2019, I wrote down my goal was to make 20k a month by October 2020, and here's what happened. So this time round, I want to announce it in a way more public way. I want to make $500,000 in profit in 2021, which means I need to generate our clients between 7 to 10 million in revenue this year, which to be honest shouldn't be hard considering that we did $2.1 million in revenue for our clients in 2020, and that was only spread across 4 accounts. If you're an agency owner that's kind of feeling stuck or not sure how to scale to your first 10k month, book in a call with me down below and I'll see if I can help. If not, no hard feelings, I'll give you some solid insights and point you down the right path. My agency is my first business ever, and no one else in my family are wealthy entrepreneurs, so I really had to learn from scratch, and that made it a lot harder, but to be honest, it made it also a lot more fulfilling. Listen, starting your own business is hard, and being a service provider is extremely competitive no matter what anyone else says. And agency life isn't as glamorous as what people think it is, but you can still do well in it. Hope you found this video insightful.